We have law now, fellas. Hi everyone, the Beta 4 update for Vibrant Venture is finally out. As some of you are already well aware, I went through some pretty rough medical stuff in the past few months, so this update took a bit longer than usual. If you're interested in the details, check out the video in the top right corner. Anyway, I'm back on my feet now and we're ready to roll out the next big update for the game. Let's talk about it. So the primary focus of this update was lore, story and just general world building. One of the primary criticisms of the game that we've received over the years is that the game's story is far too simple and doesn't really have enough depth. While I agree with this, I wanted to focus on the gameplay first and foremost, which is why we've never really prioritized the story much until now. But now that the game is in a much more polished state, we're ready to start fleshing out the world and characters more. Right, so first, there are 3 new major story cutscenes in the game. After collecting a power crystal, a short resonate cutscene will play, and the crystal's powers will offer you a glimpse into the past. These cutscenes offer insights into the origins of the power crystals and the main characters in the game. I intentionally designed them with a show-don't-tell approach, so you're gonna have to pay attention to the details if you want to piece the story together. I'm excited to hear what you all think of them. We also plan to add a few more of these cutscenes in the future, but for now we're happy with the 3 that we've added in this update. Another major feature that we've added is Asura's Journal, something that has been requested for a very long time. The journal replaces the help menu from previous versions of the game, and it contains journal entries describing the world, the characters, and the creatures that inhabit the world. It's written from Asura's perspective, and it's a fun way to learn about the world of Vibrant Venture. In order to fill in the journal, you'll need to defeat enemies and bosses, discover new worlds, and collect power crystals. Filling in the journal counts towards file completion, but it should be fairly easy to fill in during a regular playthrough, and is mostly there to provide more lore and world building. We might expand more on the journal in the future, but I think it's already a great addition to the game as it is now. We've also added a new enemy gauntlet level to World 1, which, as you can see here, is stylized as 1-sword for murder. This is a gauntlet level, and it is heavily inspired by Super Mario Wonder's arena levels, where the goal here is to defeat all the enemies within a time limit in order to earn challenge coins. It's a fun little side challenge that I think you'll enjoy, and while there's just one of these levels in the game at the moment, we plan to add more of them in the future. Personally, I think it's quite fun since Vibrant Venture has some interesting combat mechanics, and I think it's a good way to make use of them in a different context. It also features some banging music by Christoph Jacob, which I'm sure you'll love. And, as an additional detail, the characters strike a pose when you complete the level in sync with the music, of course, which is a nice touch. 2 new upgrades have also been added, Lightweight and Ascender. Ascender increases your jump height, and Lightweight allows you to fall slower. These upgrades are both pretty straightforward, but they are actually the first upgrades in the game that affect the player's movement. This is another complaint that we've received over the years, that the upgrades in the game are too simple and don't affect the gameplay enough. I've always been hesitant to add upgrades that affect the player's movement because they can be really difficult to balance. But I think these 2 upgrades are a good start, and I'm excited to see how they affect the game's speedrunning scene. We've already found a few crazy skips with them, and I'm sure you'll also find some interesting uses for them as well. If you have any ideas for additional upgrades, feel free to let us know down in the comments below. Trophies have also been added to the time trials, instead of time trials simply having one single time to beat. Bronze trophies are of course the easiest to obtain, silver requires more effort, and gold is the most challenging. When speaking to the time trial clock at the start of the level, you can now see the time required to earn each of the trophies. A new result screen has also been added, showing your performance and a cute little animation when you earn a trophy. We love details, so we made the characters' expressions, the music and the applause sound change depending on the trophy you earn. Pistachio's look of disappointment when you earn a bronze trophy is my personal favourite. You can also see the trophies you've earned in the world map, which is a nice little touch. Anyway, we made an entire video just about these trophies, so check it out in the top right corner if you want to know more. Another new feature in time trials is the addition of ghosts. Completing a time trial or beating your previous best now automatically records and saves your run as a ghost for future replays. And when you replay a previously completed time trial, a playback of your best performance will be shown as a ghost for you to compete and compare against. This feature makes replaying time trials so much more fun, and it's a great way to learn from your previous runs. It took a really long time to implement this feature, but I think it was worth it. The way ghosts work is by recording the player's position, scale, rotation, and sprite information at regular intervals, and then playing it back in real time using interpolation for smooth movement. What this basically means is that the ghosts are just a series of images that are played back in sequence, but the game is smart enough to fill in the gaps between the images in order to make the movement look smooth. Why not just record the player's input and play it back instead, you ask? Well, the game physics often changes between updates, and the game's frame rate can also vary, so recording the player's input and playing it back would often result in desynchronized ghosts, which sucks. Now don't worry, I spent a lot of time on compression and optimizing the ghost data file format, so the ghosts are extremely small and they don't take up much space on your computer. They're also stored in a separate file, so they don't affect the save file size. These ghosts replace the old hard-coded tutorial ghosts as well, which means those now have accurate physics. Much nicer to look at and no more hard-coded movement, which is always a plus. 6 new achievements have also been added. For each world in the game, you get an achievement for getting all of the gold trophies in each time trial. And then there is an additional achievement for getting every single gold trophy in the game. And of course, you also get an achievement for completing Asura's journal. Now, the final achievement that we've added is a secret, so you'll have to discover that one for yourself. We've also added new creatures and critters in several levels. Previously, we only had birds in 1-1, but now we've added squirrels, fireflies, worms, frogs, and even turtles in various levels. These creatures are just decoration, and they don't affect the gameplay, but they add a lot of life to the levels and make them feel more alive. I have spent more time than I'd like to admit chasing squirrels around like the big child I am. I think they add a lot to the game's atmosphere, and they make the world feel more lived in. In line with the lore and world building focus, we've also updated the dialogue UI. Firstly, a speaker field has been added to the dialogue, which displays the current speaker's name and icon. This is a small detail, but it makes the dialogue feel more polished and the characters more distinct, which is a massive improvement from having absolutely no clue who's talking. We also added icons to character mentions in the dialogue, which is another small detail that makes the dialogue feel more polished. For example, when somebody mentions pistachio, her icon will appear next to her name in the dialogue, and the name itself will also be colored green in order to match her color scheme. These are all small details, but they make the dialogue more readable and they add a level of world building that just wasn't there before. Alright, so that was all of the major features for this update, but there's also a bunch of smaller features and improvements that we've added, so let's go over those, shall we? Firstly, we've added support for the Sony PlayStation 5 DualSense and Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. So now the controller icons will show up correctly when using either of these controllers instead of the generic Xbox icons. I also spent some time adding support for the Steam Deck by making the game take text input via the on-screen keyboard on the console, as you can see here. So now you can play the game on the go as well. The control mapper has also received a major overhaul, now allowing you to remap every single action in the game, including the controller mouse used in the level builder and pet maker. Also, shortcuts in the pet maker can be remapped now, including support for modifier keys, as you can see here. This is a massive improvement, because before you couldn't remap any of this, which led to several stupid issues that are now all fixed. And yes, this means that you can add modifier keys to any action in the game. So if you're mentally deranged, you could, for example, bind the jump action to control space, or something equally stupid. I don't know why you would do that, and I hope you don't, but you can if you want to. We've also added a navigation cursor for menu use with the controller or keyboard. This makes it way easier to navigate menus and see exactly which button is currently selected. Before, the only way to tell was to pay attention to the buttons themselves and see which one was highlighted, which wasn't always easy and could be a bit confusing. This little detail alone has caused me to never use a mouse to navigate the menus again because I'm just too lazy to take my hands off the keyboard when playtesting the game, and the new cursor means I can easily navigate the menus with the keyboard now. Okay, back in the world map now, we've added a challenge level unlock cutscene that plays when all of the challenge coins have been collected in the world. This way, you'll know when you've collected all of the challenge coins in a world and unlocked the challenge level. Before, you would either have to check the level select screen or walk all the way to the challenge level every time in order to see if it's unlocked, which admittedly was pretty annoying. We've also added a new animation when you switch pages in the shop. I don't know what else to say about this, but I like watching the items bounce onto the shelves. It's cute. We've also added a short wind-up animation with a delay to the Sir Stomps-a-Lot enemy. This was requested by a few people, so you can see when the Sir Stomps-a-Lot is about to stomp, instead of it happening instantly as soon as you enter the trigger. Not only that, but it also makes it possible to skip the stompers if you're fast enough, which is a great addition for speedrunners. We've also added audio reverb effects in specific areas in the game, like the cave in 1-1 and the temple in the town. Have a listen to how the audio changes when you enter these areas. Pretty cool, right? As you may already have noticed, we've also added animations to the enemies in the World 1 map. Before, they were just static sprites, but now they have more life to them. This was already the case for the enemies in World 2 and 3, but now World 1 has finally caught up and it looks so much more lively now. We've also made the game fully independent from Steamworks, which allows for offline access to features like the pet maker and the level builder. Before, you would need to be online in order to access these features because of the Steam Workshop integration, but now you can also use them offline. Finally, I can make levels and pets on the go in the back of me mum's car. We've also made it so that when you click return to map or restart level or exit to title screen in the pause menu, it now shows a prompt so you don't accidentally lose progress. Whoops, should have probably done this earlier. Oh well, better late than never, right? The game icon has also been changed, so say goodbye to generic Leafly icon and hello to epic Violastro icon. I think it looks a lot better now, and it's a better representation of the game as a whole, since Violastro really is the face of the game. The World 1 boss has also been updated with new backgrounds for both faces and new and overhaul lighting for both faces as well. Just look at how much better the arena in the first phase looks. It's day and night, and the little details like being able to see the rain through the holes in the walls really add to the atmosphere. And in the second phase, the lights from the ceiling gives the arena a much more dramatic look, perfectly fitting for the final phase of the boss fight. The level HUD has also received a visual overhaul. Before, it was actually stupidly inconsistent, and some of the icons had bigger pixels than others, which was a bit of an eyesore. Now they all have the same pixel ratio and it looks much more consistent and polished. In addition, when you collect a challenge coin, a new animation will play in the challenge coin HUD, which makes it much more satisfying to collect them. I'm a sucker for over-the-top animations, so I love this change. The Totals UI has also been changed because I couldn't fit the new gauntlet level in the old layout, and it made me realize that the old layout was pretty bad. Now each page has the same size, and levels are also placed inside of a scrollable container so we can add as many levels as we want without having to worry about the layout breaking. The background for challenge levels has also been updated, as you can see here, and it looks way more polished and detailed now. Here's a quick comparison of the old and the new background. I think the new one looks much better and it fits the game's art style more. The camera tracking in levels has also been reworked and is now much smoother. Now it no longer jitters when going fast, and the look ahead is much more accurate. The look ahead was actually rewritten completely, and here you can see kind of how it works now, with the red box representing the area that you can move around in before the look ahead kicks in. When I go outside of the red box, the camera starts moving to catch up with me, and when I go back inside the box, the camera stops moving until I step outside of the red box again. Okay, so let's just do a quick rundown of the sprite updates that we've made. First, the minigame buttons, the fallen tree in 1-4, the tents, and the large tree in the town have all received visual enhancements in order to fit the game's art style better. We've also updated the sprites for static and pushable crates in World 3 for clearer identification, because as you can see here, they were pretty hard to tell apart before. The stealth laser visuals have also been reworked in order to fit the game's pixel art style better. You can see how before, the laser itself wasn't pixelated and it looked pretty out of place. Alright, so that's all of the major and minor and miscellaneous features and improvements that we've made in this update. That was a lot. We didn't even cover everything that has been added and changed, but I think we covered the most important stuff. Check out the video description for the full patch notes if you want to see everything that has been added and changed. And yes, the patch notes were too big to fit in the video description, so I had to put them on Pastebin and link them instead, which is just insane. I hope you're as excited about this update as we are. We've put a lot of work into it and we are really proud of how it turned out. We're already working on the next update and we have some really cool stuff planned, so stay tuned for that. The focus of the next update is the World 3 boss, and we are planning on adding some more wild lore in that update as well, which I'm really excited about. As always, you can support us by wishlisting or buying the game on Steam. You can find the link to the Steam page in the video description down below. Please also consider telling your friends about the game and leaving a review on Steam if you've played it. It really helps us out a lot, and we appreciate it more than we can express. If you're interested in the game's development, you can subscribe to the channel for more devlogs and updates, and follow us on Twitter and Discord for more frequent updates and behind the scenes stuff. We love hearing your thoughts and feedback, and it helps us make the game way better than it ever could have been on our own. Many of the features in this update were actually added because of your feedback, so definitely keep it coming. And if you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care.